Today we're going to take a look at just a corn update. The corn and soybean updates get to be a little long. That last one was almost a half an hour long. Sorry folks. It's easy to just kind of scroll through them and speed through them if you have to, but it gets to be a little long together, so I decided I'm just going to do a corn update and then I'll do a soybean update that's going to be separate. So today we're going to look at a new Pioneer hybrid. Very limited availability out there, so you're really not going to see it out in the country much. Each dealership probably gets about 12 bags, and from my dealer I took all those 12 bags. Give them a good evaluation here to see their strengths or their weaknesses. I like to really give them a critical look on them, because I want to make sure that they're going to be a good hybrid for me for another year, or I may not be interested at all. Last year we know that was 9624. I love the corn, and of course I planted more of that this year. That's a little bit on the early side. This one here is a 100-day that's probably a little bit more appealing to me, and so if this one works out, why, this probably would be even more interest in this one in the future. But here, I'll give you a look at it. It looks really good so far. And the corn here is already about knee high. I know they always talk about knee high by the 4th. That is really out of date. There is not really, that's just not looked at anymore. It means really nothing to us. But so far, the corn, very healthy. Looks good. This stuff grew really quick. Right next to it I have I call it still Monsanto genetic corn, and it's supposed to be the top one in this area for yield. This is a 102-day corn, and it's just a little shorter. It's got a little different color to it, no big deal. It didn't come off as a fast starter as far as growing quickly as the Pioneer did. I'll get between the rows here, and you can kind of see, you just see the corn on the right here is that Pioneer 100-day. Over here is that Monsanto genetics right next to it. And so this is going to give me a good comparison to see what that Pioneer corn looks like. You can't really go anything by height. However, I do like good quick growth. And the reason why I like that is it shades out the ground, keeps the weeds and the grass from coming and so forth, especially earlier in the season. Whereas this one's already getting, as you see, a lot of shading on the ground. This one, there's really no shading yet. It's all open. So it gives a chance for weeds to grow, more time to grow anyway. And so that is already a drawback of this one. I've never planted either one of these before, but that's really a drawback on this competitor here. And that's one of the things already that I like about this 100-day. They're very fast to grow. Look at the leaves it's putting on. A lot of leaves here. This corn already looks really impressive. Of course, it's already knee high. It's growing quickly. So I'm just going to walk along here, and we will see if we can just see any type of weed pressure coming at all. Here again, the competitor one, it's so open yet. I wish it was closing up more. That would just make me feel a little bit better. Whereas this one here is Pioneer one is growing so much faster, and it's going to close in those rows so much quicker. Okay, here we got this spot that I had a circle of water hemp, and I'll show you there is some grass here too, but it is all, see how it's all dead? These are all dried up plants. I'll just give you a real close. They're all dried up plants here. And some of this is grass here too. Just a little spot. And what happened one year was I turned on my sprayer just a tad bit too late, and And so then I came the next year, and sure enough, I had this little spot of weeds and grass. So anyway, it looks like it's, here's a, looks like a spear of grass right here. And it looks like it didn't maybe quite all die. Oh, the roots are pretty much dried up. It looks like it's kind of had it, I guess, but it probably isn't gonna show a lot. But otherwise, that was probably the only spot I could find in the field like that, and it's pretty small, so, which is a good thing. The rest of it looks like it's gonna be pretty good. So far, so good for the corn. I'm gonna go and take a look at another field too that I saw a few water hemp up. I just want to make sure that they got killed when I sprayed them. We'll go take a look at that. We're gonna take a look at my corn on corn here. I don't have a lot of corn on corn acres, only 42 acres this year of corn on corn. And the reason why I have corn on corn is because these areas are real tough for iron chlorosis. And it just makes it really hard to grow soybeans. And like I've said in another video, I believe my cyst nematode numbers are getting higher is probably one of the biggest reasons why it's getting more difficult. You just keep adding more stresses on the beans, and pretty soon it just can't overcome them. So we're going to have you take a look. We're right here just on the headlands of this corn on corn. Looking pretty good. This is the Pioneer. I'll get it up on the screen. Sorry, I'm having a terrible time remembering all these numbers. It's the one that I said in the earlier video that I wasn't sure I should have probably used the 9955 on it. However, this one has a little bit better cold tolerance, and I planted it right away. But so far, the field is still looking clean. I sprayed this a little bit on the early side again. But you know, it's already got great height. I mean, you can see how where about, you know, my knee is here and so forth, and you can see how tall the corn is already. I mean, this stuff is growing really well. Really happy with it. Plant health is, you know, just excellent. I'm not seeing any kind of deficiencies. I'm gonna go to the other side where I have the 9955 on last year's bean ground, the same field, just, you know, further over, and I'll give you a few other tips of what I've done over there. But so far, yeah, pretty happy with this corn on corn. I'm gonna take a little gander up the field a little bit here. If I don't see anything different, we'll just move on to the next one. This field here, I have Pioneer 9955 in it, looking quite well. Give you a kind of a shot of it here as we're walking along. You know, still good height. This is the one I said probably should have had on the corn on corn. However, I don't know if it would have really made any difference. But yeah, this is looking good. I actually had done a nitrate test on this field because the conditions last year were so dry, especially in the fall, and in hydrous ammonia, it's looking for moisture to grab onto. So when the knife goes through the soil, it's grabbing onto the moisture in the soil. Soil was so dry, I was afraid that we would be losing some of that nitrogen. So I wasn't sure, and I thought, well, I'll just take a test, see how it came up. Well, it came up extremely high. But it doesn't really surprise me because when we've had real dry years, we also get high nitrate levels usually in the soil. So that part didn't surprise me either. But so I'm not going to add on any more nitrogen, even on the corn on corn, until after tasseling when we put the corn on. That'll give me another 30 pounds. That helps plant health as well because it keeps it well fed. The plant health on this 9955, I mean, take a look at it here. I mean, it is really nice. This is a, you know, a little lighter color corn again, but the leaves looks like it's well fed. I don't see any deficiencies there. I did find I found one stink bug in this field. So I looked around for more and I didn't find any more, but it was a brown stink bug. And I know they're a problem down south, and it appears to me by what I'm hearing is they might be moving further north, or who knows, they might adapt further north. It often happens with these things. So that's another thing I'm going to keep an eye on, because I have noticed more of that pest around. Otherwise, I'd say the corn is doing well. I did find I have a problem area where I have a lot of iron chlorosis. The beans have a hard time closing in, and sometimes they'll get water hemp plants. And sure enough, I found some water hemp plants already coming in that corn, on that cornfield, which is across the ditch and a long ways to walk, and I didn't have my camera with me. Otherwise, I would have shown you some of those plants that were coming. Those are the only water hemp plants that I saw that would be an issue. I haven't really found any other water hemp plants in the other corn that I've been walking through. So, of course, they wouldn't have an issue at this time anyway. But I really didn't want to walk all the way back there with my camera. I should have taken my camera with. I could have kind of shown you what you get when you get a few of these late coming water hemp plants after you've already sprayed. I had my pre down, which tells me that there might have been a little bit larger number of seeds in the soil, being I get a few plants. Without that pre, I might have had a lot of plants. I don't know. I'm not sure how to handle that at this point, because I can't drop nozzle it at this point. I don't like to use Status because it's a chemical that can drift onto soybeans and lead into a whole lot of other problems. And I thought about, otherwise I could bring out my cultivator and cultivate it, but the problem is some of those plants, they're in the row itself, and I can't take them out doing it that way. So I'm still thinking about how I'm going to handle that. It is going to be corn on corn again next year, so maybe I might have to go to using 2 pre's on it. I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look at the chemical program and maybe try to clean that up next year by changing the program. Still got a lot of things to think on. That's some of the challenges that we go through farming each year, just trying to how to assess, reevaluate, and put together better programs for the following year. Otherwise, I'd say this year I'm quite happy with how the corn looks. Don't really have any other complaints that way. They look like they're well fed. Don't see any diseases. So far so good on the corn. So that'll conclude our crop update this time for the corn, and next crop update will be concentrating on the soybeans. I'm going to add one little insert here at the end of the video. Remember I told you I found some plants in a low spot over there with iron chlorosis in it after I had sprayed it? Well, I forgot I had a spot in this field too. I always take a look at, and when I came through, sure enough, those plants are already up, and they're up actually pretty good size by the time I got here, because this is one of the last ones I did. However, I came here several days ago and I didn't find any plants. I came back now to see if I could find any plants, and I can't. However, this is all I could find was, like, for instance, see, this was a water hemp plant. It's all dried up. There's nothing left of it. It's just crumbly. And that's all the evidence, is dried up water hemp plants that I could find. Otherwise, I normally get some right in this area, and I cannot even find one. So I was saying how we have to reassess and reevaluate how we're doing our chemical programs. Well, one of the things we could probably conclude is this field here was done about 4 days after the other field. So the timing was probably everything in this situation. Now, if the timing would have been the exact same in the other field, it probably would have looked exactly the same. Like, for instance, here's another one all crumpled up. Here's another one. See, they're just all crumpled up. There's nothing left, and there's no others coming because I put a pre with my post-emerge herbicide. And you know, if it was, all my fields are like that where I had a problem spot, that would be great. That'd be excellent. I mean, that'd be perfect weed control. So I just wanted to point that out because these are things that we have to keep learning and trying to get our timing right as well. And so far it's only that one field I found that issue with, and I'm still trying to figure a backup plan for this year. Could I do a little bit of drop nozzling in there just to clean it up? I might be able to. I have done that in the past and it's worked great. So anyway, we will continue to work at it. These are the challenges of farming, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at the corn later on. Probably not as much for weed pressure because the corn's going to get a whole lot taller, probably be up to my shoulders the next time. It gets a little bit more difficult, but so I don't walk through as large portions of the field as I do in the earlier stages. So that's the little insert on the end of this video. We will see you on the soybean video.